Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Hanukkah for those who are celebrating. Morning, June.
Morning.
Hey, Keith. Hi, Ronnie. I have my little Christmas tree here that I've started. It was a bribe for the girls, June. So I got all of them like little Christmas trees.
That's
So
cute.
how's everyone doing? Did everyone have a wonderful Thanksgiving?
Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, thank
Good. It's nice to take time to reflect and be grateful. And so I'm grateful for all of you. So it's just, yeah, I'm feeling very festive this morning.
Well, in my business, we're crazy from October 1st all the way to December 7th. So every year for these last 10 years, having the Thanksgiving break is our one respite in our busy season.
Good. How are things going?
Very well. Yep.
Good. That's awesome. I'm super excited. Yeah. How are you, Scott? I haven't seen you in a minute.
I'm doing well.
Good.
We sold our house. We moved.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Moving is a young person's game. Let me tell you. Even if you hire movers, it's a young person's game.
Well, I hope you weren't trying to do the whole U-Haul thing.
No. It was called putting stuff in the back of my SUV, driving it over, going back, driving it over.
Oh, wow. Where did you move to?
We moved one block over.
Oh, wow. Were you downsizing or just?
We are. Yep.
Oh.
I'm done paying for college. I don't need that. I don't need all that stuff anymore. It's time to downsize.
I've already done that myself.
Scott, I did that 30 years ago, and I don't plan to do it again. A move is a move. It doesn't matter if it's around the corner or the next state. You still got to box it up and move it and unbox
Exactly
it.
right. I'm sore in places I didn't know I could be sore in.
Yeah.
Hey, June, how are you feeling? How are you doing? I heard you had a little interesting beginning of November.
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to introduce, and we'll give people a few minutes to jump on. I'm sure they're going to be jumping on later, but I just want to introduce one of my wonderful coaches. His name is Marques Ogden, and there's a funny story with. I really do believe that people are put in your life at the right time. And they give you the right opportunities and the right connections, and everything is, part of like a bigger plan. And so I met Marques, I guess it was through Provisors, which is another group that I'm in. And I heard him speak, and the name Ogden sounded familiar, but I couldn't quite place it. And when I heard him speak, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't really know tons and tons about sports or football, which I know is totally sacrilegious living in the South. But I was totally inspired by his story, his demeanor, just who he is as a person, and all of his sports analogies, because he, discussed sports in a way that I could understand and comprehend. Little did I know that I was in this, that he was connected to this executive director who I was involved with. It's called Council on Legal Education Opportunity back in 1999. And so it's a pre-law program designed for law students who are underrepresented in the legal field. So my friends and I, who are still great friends to this day, we went to this summer program, and his mother was the executive director back in 99. And so, God, that was a long time ago, but 20 years later, I got reconnected with him. And I discovered that Cassandra Ogden was his mother. And so Marques has this wonderful story about his life and his journeys and his ups and downs. And when I heard that, I wanted to share it with this wonderful group. So Marques, if you want to introduce yourself, and then, you can go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Cherish. And I like how you said, well, he was connected with somebody that was the executive director. I said, connected, that's an interesting word.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's the son of this.
I like connected,
Remember, yes.
son, all the same. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Marques Ogden. I am from Washington, D.C. I currently now live in Raleigh, North Carolina with my wife and 2 daughters. I am a keynote speaker, executive coach, author, consultant. I am a former NFL athlete. Here to talk to you all about preparing for 2022, how important it is to start making steps to get ready for next year. I was talking to Cherish about this. She's working on her marketing strategy and getting things in place. And I feel business owners who are actually proactive and are good leaders that are engaged, adapt, and deliver to help their business grow, those are the ones that really do well going into a new year. So I want to kind of share a little bit about my story, but before I do that, can you hit the next slide, Cherish? So many businesses have found, it to be really interesting the last couple of years to be very, very difficult. And I think that's because we're constantly changing. We're constantly evolving. Like, we don't really know what's going to be. You have COVID-19, you have Delta variant, you have Omicron, you have all types of things going on. So what we have to do is make sure that we have a business plan and strategy that is really prepared to handle things and transition well. I tell people, change and transition. Change is what's going on around you that you cannot control, i.e. COVID-19 variants, businesses not operating, price increase, et cetera, et cetera. We cannot deal or we cannot do anything about the change going on around us. But how we transition or adapt to the change, we can handle, we can prepare for, we can do something about. So I tell people all the time, focus on transitioning through a difficult change. Be prepared to do what you need to do to get where you want to go. So before I go any further into this presentation, I want to share with you my story. So again, from Washington, D.C., went to Howard University in Washington, D.C. I got 1 scholarship offer to college, took that opportunity, went to college. My father was also a Howard University Bison football player and graduate. Really enjoyed going to Howard, had a lot of great fun. I wanted to be an investment banker and work on Wall Street. That was my dream when I left high school. You go to college. Like, a lot of young athletes think want to be in the NFL, all this type of stuff. Well, for me, only getting 1 scholarship offer near the end, I did not have this dream of being an NFL athlete like my brother. That was not what I thought. I thought I was going to go to college, be a good football player, and go work on Wall Street. Obviously, things changed. They transitioned around me, and I made the adaptation, and I was drafted to the National Football League in 2003 by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jack Del Rio, who's now the Washington football team defensive coordinator, was my head coach. Had a lot of success playing in the NFL. One of the biggest things I learned about how sports and business really are synonymous was from Jack Del Rio my rookie year. He said, Marques, in order to succeed in life, you need to be your own CEO. You need to be the one that sets your schedule, takes care of things, handles your business on the football field, off the football field, and after you retire from the NFL. That was some of the best advice I ever got as a young athlete. Played in the NFL for almost 6 years, left the NFL. I struggled immensely. Because of the change around me, I did not transition well. I did not prepare well. I had a back injury and it knocked me out of football. When I left the NFL for about 6 months, I got addicted to alcohol, painkillers, nightlife, gambling, everything bad. And I look back on it, I was really a young person that didn't have the next step in my life. I did not have a plan for life after the game. So I coach a lot of athletes now, telling them to be prepared for life after their sport. So after about 6 months, I finally put the bottle down, and I ended up starting a construction company called Caden Premier Enterprises. We were a concrete and demolition contractor working downtown Baltimore. We started off small, had some success. When there was a big gap in the minority space, we were a minority certified business. When there was a big gap and one of my mentors went out of business, we got into construction doing dirt work, massive earthwork, dirt getting utilities, went from a small company to the largest African-American subcontractor in the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland for 2 years. We did all types of massive projects. We transitioned, well, we started this company in 2008. When a lot of people were going out of business, we were thriving because we had a good set plan of action. The only person that I wasn't prepared for to handle the success of the business growing was myself. I became my own worst enemy. I told Ohio State University athletes a couple of weeks ago when I spoke to them, the biggest thing that can knock us off track, the biggest obstacle in our life is usually our own ego if we're not careful. My ego destroyed a 8-figure-a-year, up to $15 million a year business that I reached when I had just turned 30. I'm 41 now. So I became a $15 million a year business, massive success. But because I was so focused on external factors like making money, being famous, being well known, having all these things that really didn't matter, I ended up pushing away my best employees, my best team members. That, along with a really bad construction job in 2012 for a big contractor where I did about $3 million of work in less than 90 days, was not repaid by that developer and contractor. I went bankrupt in 2013, lost everything. Home was foreclosed on. Both cars repossessed in the same day. I lost everything when I moved from Baltimore down to Raleigh. Lost it all. I got to Raleigh with $400 to my name. I was 1 week away from being homeless. And the NFL started a new program that year called the Gene Upshaw Trust Fund. That trust fund, I had to apply for it. I was approved for it, and they paid my creditors to help keep me from being homeless. Now, at this time, I did have a job. I was working at Merrill Lynch in Durham. After 2 months, I was fired. I had been out of finance so long, I forgot how to actually do the job very well. Went to a construction company the next day, was fired from that job 5 days later. They shut down the sales store to the operation. I'm out of a job. The only job I could get, along with starting a small business of coaching kids football, I became a custodian. Worked for $8.25 an hour from 10 p.m. till 5 a.m. between September 2013 and March 2014. And I tell everyone, I did the job that I had to do to take care of my family. I had, though, my rock bottom moment of clarity when somebody's trash, rotten meat, nasty protruding garbage got over my body, my skin, and my clothes in 2013 September. And that was the moment I told us to Cherish that I stopped playing victim mode. I stopped blaming other people for my failures, and I took full accountability, full responsibility for my life. Just like you all have to take full accountability, full responsibility for what you want to do with your own business. You need to prepare to get where you want to go, and you're the master and commander of your own journey, plain and simple. I came home that morning, wrote down my 3 biggest strengths, said, I'm going to start keynote speaking. Launched the business in September 2013. I got 0 paid speaking jobs for 2.5 years. Got my first paid speaking job April 2016 with a little small college, Miller Mock College in Wilmington, North Carolina, and learned the business, got coached, prepared, started creating strategies. The last 5.5 years, I've now worked for 30 Fortune 500 companies as a speaker. I've written 3 best-selling books. I'm a consultant. I have a podcast that's ranked in the top 1.5% in the world after only 6 months of being out. And I'm really good today at preparing for my future, our business, helping my clients do the same thing. Cherish, I talk about this all the time. You have to have the right mindset in order to go through adversity, to get to the other side, and then help you prepare the strategy and tactical action steps to get you to where you want to be. So my challenge to you is, are you ready to elevate your business and prepare for 2022 based upon where you are right now and where you want to get to in the future? So I think some of these action steps and a little bit more of this presentation will help you to kind of see different ways, different approaches to get where you want to get in life and in your business. But if you didn't know who I am or what I've been through or what I've had to face to get where I'm at today, I don't feel me telling you these things would make as much of an impact as it hopefully will. Now I'm going to get into this presentation. Next slide, Cherish. Okay, so now we're going to talk about ways to help you create a business plan to help you be successful in 2022. Okay, Cherish, next slide. Okay, so be in the know, okay? Be in the know. Be mindful of your customers and clients. I tell everyone, you have to have strong emotional intelligence if you are going to be a successful business owner in today's climate, especially. You have to have emotional intelligence and meet people where they are, okay? There's 2 types of ways you can do that. There's compassion and there's empathy. Compassion is something you feel for somebody, but you cannot be in their shoes because you haven't been in their shoes. Then you have empathy where you feel for someone and you have been in their shoes. Example, anyone that's filed a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, I have empathy for because I understand and I know exactly what that nightmare is like. I lived it for years. That's why my first book is called Sleepless Nights. I had so many sleepless nights between April 2013 and April 2016. So that's why we named the book Sleepless Nights. Now, someone that is homeless, I have compassion for. I almost became homeless, but I did not become homeless. So I have compassion for people that are in that situation. So when you're in the know and you understand what's going on with people, that's big. So again, look in the new world. Some places are going to have COVID restrictions. Some places you can travel to. Some places you can't. Some people want to do in-person meetings. Some don't. Some want to do phone calls. Some want Zoom, right? You have to know your clients, but you have to also know your prospective clients, your prospects. Talking to a client today, he is struggling with his marketing right now because he hasn't figured out a way to reach his clients or his target audience with the way of the world and how it is as of late. People are getting back into doing things, some people are not, and it's a lot of, it's a lot of change happening in the world right now. And because of that, he hasn't created a transition plan to help him navigate through the waters. So for you all, just be in the know. Know who you're talking to, know who they are, know what they like, and that's called pattern recognition. Understand what they like, what they love, what they hate, what they fear. Knowing this information will give you the best chance to either continue to get their business or increase and get better sales conversions when you're talking to somebody the first time out. So be in the know. Know who you're talking to and know your audience like the back of your hand. Next slide, Cherish. Okay, so now we're going to talk about, drop this down, how to stay ahead of the curve with digital transformation. This is a very interesting fact. By 2024, we're going to have 8.4 billion digital voice assistants. Do you have a plan in place to handle the digital transformation? So many people are going digital right now, and I feel, and what we're seeing is going to keep going that way. People are going to get out of what I feel we call the traditional way of networking, getting in front of people, and we're going to start going more digital. How are you prepping for that? Are you being aware of this? Are you thinking about ways to create a business plan to help you be ahead of the curve so you can continue to do what? Stay ahead of the competition and give yourself the competitive edge. That's what this whole presentation is about. It's about helping you all get the competitive edge on the competition. I was talking to my website developer yesterday afternoon. He said, Marques, when people type in keynote speaker in the Southeast region, specifically Raleigh, Atlanta, and it was one other area, but really in that Raleigh area, our name is the first that comes up now, and we are miles and miles ahead of any other speaker in the Southeast region, but specifically the Raleigh area. We have been working on this digital strategy for the last 9 months. The last 9 months, we've been working on this. So we don't expect to have a plan today, launch it and get results today. It'd be nice, but it's not really realistic. So how can you start working on this? Right now, it is basically December 2021. By 2024, this is going to be a lot of the way in which people do business digitally. Are you going to create a plan today? So when this happens, 2024, which seems like a light years away, but you and I all know time moves like that. Time has no prejudice. It doesn't see your color, ethnicity, your age. It doesn't care. It keeps moving forward every single second of the day. How are you preparing for what we are seeing through our research and our studies the world's going to be going to when it comes to a digital transformation type of environment? Again, we started our stuff 9 months ago, and now we're having success. Not where we want to be yet. We're probably about another 6 to 9 months away, but at least we are on our way. How can you all do the same thing for your businesses? Next slide, Cherish. Don't put all your cards in one bucket. Recognize what's going on. Inflation trends. I mean, this is just absolutely mind-boggling to me. So I lift weights at Lifetime Gym every single day. Okay. I went to the gym the other day and I got a shake and it was like $8.30. It was like last Thursday, last Friday. I went to the gym this past Sunday. The same shake that I got for $8.30 was $11.60 2 days later. Almost a 40% inflation increase. I'm like, wow. And that was the first time it actually hit me smack in the face throughout this whole thing. And so for me, understanding this, I have to now understand how I might have to change my pricing, how I might have to adjust what I'm doing. Because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, if inflation goes up, the value of the dollar goes down, people are not getting as much work coming through, we're going to have to create strategies to be able to put ourselves in a position to market more, right? So like what we're doing social media marketing, networking. I just hired a publicist that's going to start with me January 15th of next year. to help us start to get out in front of people and not put all of our cards in one bucket of marketing and execution. We have got to find ways to get in front of people, stay in front of people. That way, the value that we bring people, they're gonna know that the price that they're paying us is worth it, because the value they're gonna get back is gonna be a great ROI. There is what I call selling from the heart. To sell from the heart, you have to have emotion, you have to have trust, you have to have emotional intelligence and value. If you have emotion plus trust plus emotional intelligence multiplied by value, that's selling from the heart. People are going to flock to you, they're going to come to you if you sell from the heart. But what people miss most in selling from the heart is emotional intelligence. They don't understand how to meet people where they are to help them get to where they want to be. So if you want to have success, if you want to separate from the competition, start focusing on emotional intelligence as part of your business plan strategy going into 2022. But again, understand, ladies and gentlemen, the world is changing with COVID to inflation to all types of things. So you must prepare to transition through this really difficult changing times. And don't put all of your cards in one bucket. Diversify in your strategies. Next slide, Cherish. Their emotional intelligence, allowing customers to either meet in person or virtual, right? Be flexible. One of the biggest career value drivers we talk about is performance visualization. And one of the big bullet points under performance visualization is being flexible and adjusting on the fly with speed. In the new world, you have to be willing to be flexible, to adjust to people's desires, what they need, how they want to meet you, etc. People who are not doing that, businesses that are not being flexible, transitioning, adapting, pivoting, whatever you want to call it, the ones who aren't doing it are the ones who aren't getting business. For example, one of the biggest things that our brand did to pivot during this whole time, we started our podcast. The podcast has been a great way for us to pivot, to meet people where they are, to give them information and content about our brand, to put our brand what? On their radar. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and start a podcast. I'm not saying that. That's what we did. But I am a speaker, a coach, a consultant, an author. That is what I felt was a great way to meet people where they are. And it's been very successful for us. What does that look like for you? What kind of business do you have? What can you do to meet people where they are? What can you do to get your content out in front of people? Ladies and gentlemen, there's about 750 million users on LinkedIn. 3.5 million of those users post consistently, according to LinkedIn's numbers, which is at least 3 times a week. 3.5 million. That's less than 0.5%. That's about 0.5% actually, are the ones posting 3 times a week or more on LinkedIn. They are the ones that are getting the business. So you have to figure out, how can you meet people where they are? If you're not using LinkedIn to post content, to get out in front of your target audience, I feel you are missing a huge possible avenue of business. I met Cherish on LinkedIn. Well, actually, I met Cherish at a Provisors group, but I met the Provisor chair, Stacy Pimiento, through LinkedIn. That's how it all started for me. I would say about 90% of our business's first touch point has come off of LinkedIn in some capacity. A post I put out, someone I commented with, messaged with, whatever the case may be. So again, but people are going there. That's where they're moving towards because it's safe for them, they feel, until they figure out what's going to happen with all the things going around us from COVID and things like that. So you need to be moving where people are. Next slide, Cherish. Social media is one of the biggest and best places to use our marketing capabilities. Look at these numbers. Subscribers know the content creators better than they know some of their own friends. You earn trust through consistency on LinkedIn. There's 3 keys to being successful on LinkedIn. Content, which is picture images, video works the best, just letting you know. Content is number 1. Number 2 is going to be consistency. You can't post for a week, 2, then stop. I've been posting every day for almost 8 years. Every single day I post on LinkedIn for almost 8 years. But it works. And I built trust with people who like my stuff, who comment, etc. Okay, and the third key to social media, especially LinkedIn, is diversity. Okay, so content, diversity, okay, and consistency. And when I mean diversity, put out different types of content, not just business all the time. I put out business, I put out family, I put out miscellaneous, and I put out community. Those are the 4 quadrants that I operate within, that I post within on my social media platforms all day. And I'm very much an individual who shares stuff, their faults, their trials, their tribulations, because people can relate to that. You build trust through competency, reliability, and having people's best interests all day. So you all have to make the decision, is social media going to be part of your strategy? If so, how are you going to operate it? How are you going to utilize it? To do what? Gain the competitive advantage on who? Your competition. Social media is a great way to do that. Next slide, Cherish. Be flexible with your employees. Again, this is really important. We have to show different ways and be flexible. If you have employees that are working for you in your operation, understand treating them like gold to a certain degree. Now, don't go overboard, but treating them like gold is going to be huge for you, because right now, a lot of businesses are hurting to find employees they can trust, that are going to deliver and are going to do what? Show up and be there when they're supposed to be there. So these are some numbers to kind of help you see what employees are kind of saying in different surveys and things like that. So what you have to do is find ways to, and Cherish and I have talked about this before, how to utilize your top people within your organization as the conduit between you and the frontline workers. Figure out what needs to be established. You have a top employee in your organization, go to them and create some sort of survey, some sort of system or process where you and her or him are working towards a unified goal and or vision, which should be a healthy, sustainable corporate culture. And that has to be done with one of your team leaders who works very closely with your frontline workers, because the frontline workers are going to probably tell the team leader things they may not tell you. But if you don't figure out what needs to be done to help create and sustain that healthy corporate culture, you risk your business being in harm's way. So finding employees and being flexible with them is a huge part of progressing to that next level and having a sound business plan for 2022. Next slide, Cherish. Prepare nationally, but never forget locally. You want to support local businesses as much as you can. You want to also shout out people who have helped you. Cherish looks at my posts a lot. When I'm posting about a job I've won, something that we've done, I'm always thanking the client, highlighting the client for giving us the opportunity, versus just saying, hey, we won this job. Hey, look at us. Hey, we're awesome. No, I'm highlighting the client, how awesome they are, and how much we are grateful for their work. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to live your life by the 3 G's: gratitude, grace, grit. I haven't told you this one yet, Cherish. Gratitude, grace, grit. Be grateful for where you are in life, the clients you have, people that have helped you, and just be always grateful and humble for where you are in life. Grace, don't get too high on yourself, don't get too low on yourself. Be even keel at all times. Celebrate wins and be grateful. Acknowledge losses and move on. Be very even keel. That's grace. And then grit, fight your way through obstacles, adversity, everything. I made a post today on LinkedIn. I started speaking 2013. Everyone told me, Marques, what are you thinking? Be a football coach. You're never going to be the next Tony Robbins. You're never going to be a great keynote speaker. Nobody's ever going to hire you. No one's ever going to work with you. And I had to endure so much hostility, so much negativity, because everybody was trying to tell me what to do with my life. I didn't want that, but I had to endure and have grit to get through all the negativity, all the self-doubt, all the hostility. And now I'm on our 30th Fortune 500 company as a client in the last 5.5, almost 6 years. But I had to be gritty and have grit to get through. So learn how to win with gratitude, grace, and grit. Learn how to lose in life with gratitude, grace, and grit. We're all going to win at times. We're all going to lose at times. Just be grateful, have grace, and be very, very gritty to keep going through. Next slide, Cherish. Given that nobody knows what's going to happen in 2022, design a strategy that deals with whatever you think could come your way and hope to get solid growth in return. Ladies and gentlemen, there's 3 keys to any successful business: marketing, sales, operations. But I can tell you this, the one that people overlook and they don't realize it a lot of times, and big companies, they know it because they're very smart and they don't ever miss out on it, is marketing. You have to market to get your brand out there. Bill Gates said he was down to his last dollar. He would use it on public relations and marketing for media opportunity. Nobody can buy your product or service if they don't know you exist. Cherish said, Marques, would you like to come and do this talk for me? Absolutely. She asked me one time, that was it. I was there. So you were like, oh, Marques, why are you doing that? It's a small group. We work on big stages. Doesn't matter. Anytime I have an opportunity to get our brand in front of new people and meet new people, I'm always going to do it. That's the type of mentality you have and sustain a successful business enterprise. You have to be focused, you have to be driven, you have to be disciplined. One of the best quotes I ever heard by Jim Rohn: discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. People are going to cheer you on when you have goals. They're going to open up their wallet, their purse, give you their debit card, credit card, or a check based off your accomplishments. That's what people pay you off of. Not what you want to do, what you have done. Cherish would not have hired me if I said, hey, Cherish, nice to meet you. Hey, how are you, Marques? Oh, I'm great. Can I be your coach? Who have you worked with? Nobody. Who have you helped? Not a soul. Sorry, Marques, I can't do that. And you know what? She'd be right. That's the difference. When I came to Cherish, I've worked with this many clients. I have spoken for this many companies. I can help you turn your organization from being very successful to where you want it, to have the right mindset to do what? Keep going forward. She hired me. The difference is the value I gave to Cherish in the beginning outweighed the investment it cost her. And that's why she said it's worth her hiring me. The way you get people to hire you is you prove that the value you're going to bring them is going to bring them greater return on what they pay you. If you do that, you are most likely to get their business. Plain and simple. But the way you do that is you get testimonials and you show statement of work of how you've helped others. That is the biggest and best way to market your brand. What others say about you will build your book of business. Plain and simple. Next slide, Cherish. How will you convert a product or service to an experience? People today want an experience. They want something beyond just the transactional sale. They want a relationship. They want a friendship. Again, I'll use Cherish. She's a client of mine. Absolutely. Is this part of my coaching agreement with her? Absolutely not. But do I want to give Cherish a service, an experience that she knows that she is a top important client to me? Yep. Would I do it again? Cherish asked me? Yep. Because that is an experience. When you call somebody and they say, hey, can you do this? You say, yes, I can. That is like validating to them they made the right choice in working with you. But a lot of people don't see that. People will be like, Cherish, sure, I'll do it for you. Pay me X amount of dollars. Like, wait, I've hired you. Why don't you do this to help me out? Oh, it's not part of what we agreed upon. Like, I need more money for that. And people have done it. And I know coaches who have done to clients of mine that that was their coach. Now they're with me. I've heard stories just like that. But I bring an experience to my clients. How can you do the same thing? The service, the product is great. It's nice. But if you want to go, again, above and beyond the competition, bring an experience with that product and or service. Next slide. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. Unknown. Great leaders can act in these 4 areas: visioning, inventing, I'm getting lost on it. Visioning, inventing, relating, and sense making. So being a great visionary to help the organization create a strategy, that's vision. Inventing, creating tactical strategies to get from A to Z. Relating, meeting people where they are and giving them what they need in order to help them get from where they are to where they want to be. And sense making, looking at information, evaluating situations, gathering data, and then outputting what you think is the best form, the best way to move forward to your goals, make them accomplishments. Again, visioning, inventing, relating, sense making. If you can master all 4 as a leader, you're going to have great success in your business. Cherish, I think that's the last slide.
Awesome. So thank you, Marcus. That was wonderful. And I'm excited about planning for 2022. Does anyone have any questions for Marcus? No, I have some myself, but I want to make sure that nobody else has any questions or comments.
So Scott's raising his hand.
Okay.
So Marcus, thank you. That was a great presentation. So I have two questions for you. One, you mentioned that people need to be flexible and adjust. I'd love to know what a best practice you've used. And I lived in Boston for 15 years, and I would love to get your perspective if you're the best team in the NFL is right now. And there's a way they call it. So Marcus, I get booed all the time here in Atlanta because I tell people I'm a Patriots fan.
That's all right.
Bill Belichick has a system, they call it the Patriots way. And if you go to Logan Airport, you find hats or shirts that say, do your job. Everyone knows. So that's, but more importantly, how do people become flexible and adjust? What advice do you have for us?
So Scott, when it comes to being flexible and adjusting, right, we have to learn how to be active listeners, right? When we're active listeners, and we learn to listen to our trusted team members or our trusted group, it helps us to see different perspectives, different points of view. That was my biggest mistake with Caden. It was either my way, my partner's way, or the highway. And my team would talk to me, but I would hear it go in one ear and out the other. It was never, ever actually to hear, to understand. It was here to respond right away. And so what I would tell you is learn to be a really good active listener that processes information from your trusted team members or your trusted circle of influence. And at that time, you can be open and you could be very, you don't have any issues, right? With making changes, being flexible if you feel you need to. Like with my team, we have a monthly call. I tell them the only idea that you don't bring up, that I'm gonna be mad you didn't bring up, was the one you didn't say. So like always say what you need to say. This way we can really come together and make change if necessary. So the biggest first step, Scott, being a really great individual who can be flexible and can pivot and adapt, is being an active listener who listens to understand and comprehend. Not listen to someone who listens to just respond right away.
Thank you.
Yep. And then as far as your second question, I feel as long as Kyler Murray's healthy, that's the best team in the NFL, the Cardinals. They got the most explosive offense and a great D when he's in. But I will say that if people don't start taking the Patriots a little bit more seriously, it's going to be an interesting AFC matchup. Because here's the thing, Mac Jones has, and that's one thing about Mac Jones, I actually predicted they were going to draft him before the draft on our podcast. I talked about that. Mac Jones has always been a system quarterback at Alabama, always. What he's done now, he's bought into Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick, and the defense now knows the offense can score. And because of that, it's like a culture in a business. If you're in sales, right, and you know your operations team can kick booty, you're excited to go out and sell because you know that when I bring in the business, it's going to get handled properly. Just like the Patriots know, if they can score points, it's like, yes, we can now not have as much pressure and we can do our jobs and we can act from a position of strength, not a position of scarcity. And because of that shift, the Patriots now are climbing and they're looking to make a lot of noise in the AFC and potentially the Super Bowl if people don't start taking Mac Jones seriously.
I agree.
Jonathan, I'll add one caveat to the Cardinals, though. That's provided Cliff Kingsbury doesn't go to the Oklahoma Sooners, correct?
Is he looking to go there now?
That's the rumors. So I do have a question for you, though.
Yes,
and a great presentation. I love everything you're talking about, specifically about kind of building that personal brand. So my question to you, as Cherish led this off, you have a little bit more common name than I do, and I talk about branding all the time. So how was it for you to build a personal brand when you're walking in the shadows of a more famous, older, bigger brother?
That's an excellent question, Mike. So what happened is with our brand today, I had to figure out our mantra, right? What our mantra is, inspire you to take accountability. A mantra is 5 words or less that people will know you by and remember you by. Just like Nike, just do it, right? When I think about Amazon, we deliver anywhere. So we came up with the mantra of inspire you to take accountability. People know us by that. Then our mission statement is to help others succeed in life where we have failed. People don't remember that. I mean, they kind of know it, but they don't remember like they remember our mantra. So what I did, we developed a mantra, then a mission, then we went out and started marketing ourselves, networking, social media, and now we're going to be adding television, mainstream articles starting in January of this year, because I'm finally in a position now where the company is to hire someone to help us with that avenue. But if you're trying to brand yourself, Mike, you have to figure out what is your mantra first, because people can remember a mantra. I can remember 5 words or less about an organization if I want to work with them, right? Develop that mantra, develop the mission, and then from there, you hit the ground running and you start marketing like crazy your brand, your mantra, and your mission.
Right. So if my tagline is do more, know more, and care more, I guess technically that's 5 fewer words, even though it's 1 word repeated 3 times.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, so do more, know more, care more. Okay. So what I would do is that's your mantra, right? So for you, everything needs to be about, if you're posting on social media, how are you doing more? How are you knowing more? How are you caring more for people, right? You're going to be doing things print-wise, tie everything back, Mike, in your life, in your business to what your mantra is. Like for me, I took it all the time. When I was crying my eyes out on the curb in 2013, I realized there was no accountability in my life. So today in my work, I want to help others recognize the more accountable they are, the more they're going to have success in their everyday life. And that's how I kind of put into that perspective.
That's awesome. I love that. And Mike, I was just thinking of Marques. Mike has this 1-page sheet that he does and that he hands out to other people. But putting your mantra on there, I think would be just a suggestion. That would be good, because I never knew your mantra, but I like it.
Okay. No, I think that's also very important, as you were talking, Marques, about your posting for beyond just your business post, right? As you post, everything needs to be a consistent message. So in your personal life, in your business life, it does need to be a consistent message throughout. So,
yes.
And those are all good points.
Because Mike, people are buying you. They're not just buying a product or service. And so
I've been coaching Mike, I tell him all the time, I build brand Mike. Everything I do is about brand Mike, right? So people can't spell Skrenecki, so it's got to be about brand Mike, right? We need to simplify it a little bit, right? But that goes back again to my earlier question, though. Again, living in the shadows of a quite larger than, I'm assuming Jonathan was your brother, right? And
that's
he's
correct. That's correct.
Both literally and figuratively bigger and more well-known than you. So to come out of those shadows and to create a business based on your name, I'm assuming it's your business is really, again, you're building brand Marques, but you have a very famous last name.
Right. And so it's interesting that the last name, and and that was my big problem. Like when I started speaking in 2013, I relied just on my name. And I realized that was not nearly enough to get where I wanted to go with my craft. I had to actually lean on myself and get myself accountable, coached, etc. And once I did that, the name kind of is a nice little caveat, but I lean on Marques, the speaker, Mark. And I got to tell you about, I'm a national keynote speaker, executive coach, corporate trainer, and author that used to be an NFL athlete. That's how I categorize myself today.
Awesome. Honestly, I didn't even know who your brother was. I mean,
I know we ever talked about it. What's it important?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't even know, like, I mean, I know your mom, but I don't know like who this other person is. So that's, yeah. So your branding did work in the sense that woefully ignorant people like me would, you know, I was attracted to you. And no insult to your brother, but yeah, and you know, I knew Ogden because of your mom. But does anyone else have any other questions or comments? Awesome. Well, I just want to wrap this up and just say thank you for everybody, and thank you to Marques for doing this. I really appreciate everything that you've done for me, both as a coach and speaking here today, and hopefully everyone got some wonderful insight. And just again, if you don't know each other, you know, please follow Marques on LinkedIn, because he is absolutely amazing. I love his posts about his dogs and that personal side of his and his comments. But I think the way that he does his branding and just his energy and his spirit in doing all of this is amazing. And he does have that podcast. And you know, just some other notable things, you know, follow him on LinkedIn. And he was in a book that Mel Robbins wrote. So, and he was that in there. So he's done a lot of wonderful things. And he's got some great speakers that are coming up in his podcast. So definitely follow him. But thank you everyone for being here today. And
before we go, can I just do a quick shout out to Cherish and thank her for doing my last Wednesday lunch and learn. It was a hybrid one. I think June was there in person. So thank you for pulling that off. As Marques said, we all have to learn how to pivot and how to change to this new environment. And I think we actually kind of pulled off a pretty decent meeting with some roomies and zoomies. And also want to thank Cherish for bringing us all together regularly and keeping us together through these little small business workshops. So thank you, Cherish, on both of those behalves.
Thank you, Mike. I really enjoyed speaking. And yeah, I mean, I think that everything is a pivot at this point and just transitioning. And Marques is definitely helping with transitions, which aren't my strongest thing. But Mike, that was a great, I think we did pull it off. And I think we learned a lot in the process. So thank you, Marques. Thank you everybody for being here today.
I got two things I want to make sure. Everybody, make sure you on Tuesday do Giving Tuesday.
Today.
Oh, yes.
Today.
So make sure you donate freely. Also say a prayer for me. It's my last 7 days of the Medicare season. So
yes. Yes, Keith. And I look forward to finally getting together for lunch after this long season, and we'll celebrate together. And just to let you know, we'll be doing this again in January, but I'm hoping to do an in-person event with a small business roundtable sometime in the first quarter. But thank you all. Here's
the third thing, and
vote.
We're no Howard University, but go freaking dogs.
That's all right. They're going to crush Alabama this week for sure.
That's the truth. Preach it. Yep.
I mean, it's going to be ugly.
And one last reminder: if you live in the city of Atlanta, vote today. There's a runoff for mayor. Don't forget.
Yes. Already voted.
There you go.
All righty. Thanks all. Thank you so much, Marques. I appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.